Hey there. For the past month, we've been sharing how you can get through the holidays without losing it. So much is going on in the world right now, and a lot is happening probably in your households. But there is a way for you to enjoy the holidays, enjoy your family, and not just get through, but thrive your way through the holidays. We're going to present an additional way in just one moment. Hi there. Welcome to Stress Talk Live. This is the place where we help women over 40 to live healthier lives through strategic stress management and solution focused self care. I'm Marcelin Bailey and I am your host. I am so grateful that you chose to join me today. We are approaching Christmas Day and the new year. And so much is going on in the world, in our country, in our communities, as well as in our households, which makes this holiday season pretty interesting. And how do you get through? I hope you've been enjoying the video content that we've been sharing, the messages throughout the week that I hope have been very helpful. And I do, again, hope that they've been enjoyable for you. Before we get started, I want to remind you to like, follow, and subscribe to ML Bailey Consultants on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Instagram. If you'd like to know more about ML Bailey Consultants and what we do, you can go to this link. Yes, this is the link that you can go to. Also, you can always find interesting information on our website. Our topic today is transforming your thinking to get through the holidays. Now, I have a guest, and I'm going to share a video that was pre recorded of our guest. Her name is Laurie Teixeira, and she's a colleague of mine. I've known her for, oh my gosh, almost over 20 years. We worked together. We were part of leadership in a community mental health organization, and we've kept in touch over the years. She is going to share some nuggets as to how you can transform your thinking and how you are approaching the holiday season. I'm going to let the video play. I'm going to play the video, let it roll. That's what we'll say. I'm going to let it roll so that you can get all of the great information that Laurie has for you today. Again, thank you for joining us on Stress Talk Live. And here we go. Welcome, Laurie Teixeira. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Stress Talk. This season, we are focused on what? Getting through the holidays without losing it. And as you know, I've been bringing experts in to talk to us about how we can get through the holidays without losing it. Our subject today is transforming your thinking to get through the holidays. And I'm going to introduce to you my colleague and friend, Laurie Teixeira. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a therapist, a coach, and an energy practitioner. And she helps individuals heal from trauma and stress, which includes the unique challenges that the holidays pose for us. Through energy practices, she guides clients to process old wounds, ancestral trauma, and current stressors, and it allows them to live a more fulfilling life. So if you're in need of a quick stress relief, she also does emotional freedom. She's skilled in emotional freedom technique, and she's going to talk to us a little bit more about that, so you have an idea of what she does and how she does it. So I'm so happy, Laurie, that you joined me today, and I'm just gonna start us off with a question. You are a trauma informed therapist. Can you tell us a little bit more about your work as a trauma informed therapist and coach?
Sure. First, Marcy, I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me here. I'm excited to be here today and share with everybody. So, I want to kind of go back a little bit in time to talk about how I became involved in trauma. Because first, when I started in therapy as a therapist, my work was around adolescents mainly,
Mhm.
and I thought I was going to do that for years. In '97, I moved to Georgia, and that's when things started to change. So first, I went to work with community mental health.
Mhm.
Uh, as a backdrop to everything, because it's important. Growing up, I grew up Catholic, and through a sequence of stuff, I kind of moved away from religion, God, everything. And coming to live in Georgia, everything was about what church you go to. Where do you go? Come and join me, right? So it was such a big change coming from Massachusetts to Georgia.
Mhm.
So I was like I was in Massachusetts, dug my heels in the ground. Nobody gonna tell me what to do, right? So a couple of years later, I went to church, and again, things happened that transformed my life. I ended up being baptized here, um, and after being baptized, I was waiting for this change because people say you're going to be changed and transformed. So I waited for it, and nothing. And then nothing. And I was like, okay, well, is it just my stubbornness? Do I need to go get dunked again? What's happening? I'm quite not quite sure why I'm not feeling a difference. Well, it kind of took 2 years or 2.5 years. But how it started was I felt God guiding me to go work for the military and really hearing that's what I needed to do and thinking to myself, that's not what I want to do. I do not want to go. We're in the middle of the war. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to hear trauma. I don't want to deal with it. I want nothing to do with it. Yet I kept saying yes. I want the word no to come out my mouth, and it would say yes. It's like, what happened? Anyway, so I went to work for the military, and shortly, probably 3 months in, I felt over my head. All the things that I worried about happening and not feeling like I know what to do here were coming up. So I had a kind of meltdown in my office and said, God, if you brought me here, you need to give me skills to do this work that you have me here for, or else I'm going to quit because I can go get a job anywhere else. So I'm having this whole conversation angrily in my office. And the next day, there was a training for EMDR. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, and it's right here. I don't even have to travel. And so I signed up, and that was the first entry into really seeing how things can change um, by doing movements of your eyes and allowing things to process differently. And things were really changing. And I was so amazed at that process. But
Mhm.
that started me on this track of learning everything I could in different ways of how to do it with and adding it to traditional talk therapy. So that was my entree into becoming a trauma therapist by working in the military somewhere I didn't want to go. What I thought was going to be the most difficult job of my life became the best job, actually, that I had in my life for everything that it taught me.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It sounds like that's been a really good move for you.
Hmm. It's amazing.
So tell me, tell me how that now, do you still work with military personnel, families?
So I ended up going into private practice. I worked there for about 6 years, and then I went to private practice. So I still work with retirees and families, but I've been able to now expand to see other individuals who have trauma and want to really work on healing it. So yeah.
So how how, for an individual who's experienced trauma,
Mhm.
how does the holidays complicate that? How, or does it complicate?
Well, talk about sometimes triggers that come up from the holidays with trauma in relationships. First of
Mhm,
all, imagine growing up in families where there's a lot of arguing or alcohol, right? And as adults, we go back into those systems,
mhm,
right? And it just feels like you turn back into that adolescent, that child, that young adult who just starts doing those same things, even though you are now an adult,
mhm,
right? Or you want to say no, and it just feels like you can't say no because you lost your voice, even though when you go back home, you may have your voice. So it becomes, I think, even more difficult as an adult to say, I don't need to put myself in these situations, yet I go and put myself in these situations.
mhm,
And I don't know how to break that cycle for myself and set up boundaries and feel like I'm going to also hurt family members,
mhm.
or they're going to feel like, why don't you want to come? Because they're not understanding how I'm feeling,
Yeah.
right? So it can be really difficult with that. And then how families change over time with losses and dealing with grief, and lots of other stuff just starts to happen that says, how do I deal with how I'm feeling over the holidays, not disappoint other people, be true to myself and what I needed this time, can be really, really difficult.
Yeah. And it can be, and I think sometimes we don't always understand how complex things can be.
Hmm.
You know, we may be trying to hold it together, but
Yes.
we're seeing and experiencing all of these other things outside of us, and then we internalize it, and it becomes, it sends some people will withdraw, some people um, can't help themselves and they go overboard, some
Hmm.
people may start to engage in self-harming behaviors,
Right.
and so it can be very, very complex around the holidays,
Hmm.
especially for people who experience trauma, or have experienced trauma. I'm also curious, Lori, about there's a lot of loneliness around the holidays. How do people, what do you suggest to people, especially in your line of work? How do you suggest that they navigate that feeling of loneliness? And I would say that loneliness is not only being alone,
Hmm.
it could be being in a group of people, but
Yes.
feeling apart from them.
Mhm. And that's where the part about the healing comes in, because when we heal those pieces in us that have us feel lonely within a group, right? Or that have us saying, I don't know how to connect to others anymore because of circumstances I've been in, or I don't trust or feel safe, whatever that becomes. If that part of you inside doesn't get healed, it's hard for that to change externally.
Mhm,
Once that can be healed internally, then you have clarity, and sometimes you can start to make the choices that have you feel you can go and meet new people or serve somewhere so that you're not alone. Or you don't feel so lonely in the group of people because you can find things to do or small talk or sit there and watch TV, but you don't feel lonely in the same way.
mhm,
So a lot of it becomes, are you ready to start to try and heal those pieces in you to see what can be different externally?
mhm.
Because the external isn't going to change most
Right.
times for you, right? So it becomes down to we have to change what's inside. And I think it's something that's not necessarily it's talked about, but not talked about how it really is when we change things inside us, things outside of us start to look very different. And people react differently to us because we are becoming different.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's another question. As you were talking, I was also thinking about um, how, first, can you define trauma? Because oftentimes people are not, when we talk about trauma,
Mhm.
everyone doesn't know. They think about trauma as it relates to people who've been on the front lines of war, people who have lost their home because the tornado came in. But we experience trauma in different ways. Can you kind of give us a sense of some ways in which people could possibly experience trauma and not really think of it as trauma or call it trauma?
Sure. So trauma is, to me, anything that is beyond a normal experience. So how do we define normal? But growing up is kind of where most trauma can start, right? Whether that can be having parents who argue in front of us all the time, right? Or they argue a couple of times a year. My parents didn't argue a lot. They argued maybe 3 times a year, but it was a massive blow up. And then they didn't talk for 3 months. And then they got along and then there was a massive blow up, right? But as kids, hearing that and not understanding the whys and then not understanding that how they worked it out, didn't know, right? All we knew is that there was a massive blow up that was going to happen. What do we do to take care of that or each other through that? So it can be something like that. It can be dealing with parents who are or relatives who are abusing substances, and what happens in that, and the um, responses and reactions, and what you have to do to survive, in a sense.
Mhm.
Right? It can be a parent who might be incarcerated or going through um, other traumas their own. We're talking about physical abuse, sexual abuse. So there are lots of childhood traumas. It can be not having money and much money in the family and having to go to school and not having the right clothes. So you're bullied and you feel different. Right? So it's all of those pieces. So the more of those you have, then the more you can be going through some trauma that you don't realize is trauma. You just say, that's the way it is. That's the
That's
way
right.
it was in my family.
Mhm.
And that's just it. And I survived, and we move on and keep pushing.
Mhm.
So those pieces impact us in our adult life. And
Mhm.
it can be medical with serious illnesses or surgery. So there's so many different things that we don't label as being traumatic,
Mhm.
but can need some healing so that we can feel different and be different.
Mhm. And so when we talk about healing, healing can be, you mentioned physical, you've talked about spiritual healing, you've talked about, we've kind of touched on mental and emotional healing, and all of those things are so connected.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So the healing piece to me heals the mind, the thoughts. So all of those kind of negative, intrusive thoughts that keep coming into our mind that tell us either we're not good enough or that's you shouldn't do that or this person's going to be mad at you. All of those negative thoughts that keep coming into our mind is one. Then the physical is what symptoms does the body show us that says, hey, please pay attention? Because many of those symptoms are related to stress.
Mhm.
Right? And then they manifest physically. So the headaches, the stomach aches, um, anxiety, panic attacks, right? All these physical symptoms are the body's way sometimes of saying, hey, we have stuff to please look at and take care of. We don't know how, but we want you to figure it out.
Right. Mhm. Mhm. Right.
Um, Spiritual, again, feeling like that part of us that feels connected and we have meaning, right? There's something that we are here for greater than ourselves or to be here. And it's just not to get up, go to work, come home, eat, go to sleep, and repeat, right?
Mhm.
We're here for something bigger and to be connected. So, spiritually, when there's um, disconnect there, or sometimes you just have not fully, I don't know, found how to live spiritually, what works for you,
Mhm.
what's calling you. All of those pieces are part of a whole. So if one part isn't whole, then sometimes there can just be more stress or more feeling disconnected, however, it's going to show up in your life.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Um, because I think sometimes it's hard for people to even understand what healing means and what it can mean for them. You are an energy practitioner. Tell me about that. Now that I'm very curious about how you use energy to facilitate healing.
So when I first talked about using EMDR in the military, it was eye movement that you followed your fingers and had a thought in there, and it just moved stuff differently in the brain, and the feelings around that started to disappear. So it was like amazing, amazing to me. It looked like magic. It was like, oh, that's so magical. How does that even happen, right? And but what I found was it was hard to finish it in a session. It
Mhm,
was beautiful, but time crunch wouldn't allow that to fit for me in a 50-minute session.
mhm,
So I went on a hunt to say, if this works, there has to be other techniques that can do the same, but maybe in a shorter period of time, or and be just as effective. So that's when I started to learn. Somebody told me, my supervisor at the time, she actually said, Laurie, there's this EFT tapping thing. I want you to go investigate it. I'm like, why do I need to go investigate this tapping thing? And why can't she do it? She's like, go report it back to me. Like, okay. All right. Anyway, I did. And I was so curious about it because at the time, Gary Craig, who said, you know, it gave us a massive discount. You can send it back if it doesn't work. Like you said, all these amazing things. I was like, okay, well, all right, I can try it. I can send it back. But what it started to do in letting emotions go by just tapping on these places and seeing how somebody came in with significant grief, and we would just talk about the grief while they were tapping, you could see the changes happening, like the relief and the release of tension to this calm,
mhm,
to this almost glow on their face. It
mhm,
again, it was like these beautiful, miraculous moments that I was able to witness and be a part of that. I said, only are divine, right? Um, so on grief and loss, when they lost another soldier in combat, right, or a family member through that experience, or the disconnections that happened because they were gone so much,
mhm,
to be able to release the energy and the emotions around that, and then they felt better. It was just, yeah, I can't describe how beautiful that felt in the moments of being able to witness and share that.
mhm.
So that started that, and then I've just added different techniques over time. Be able to say what fits the best with this person, what they feel comfortable with, what they feel was the most impactful for them, that they liked, and so I just have a several different kind of techniques that I utilize to be able to identify the emotions and move out the energy of that emotion so they don't feel the intensity of that emotion anymore, or it goes. When
Mhm,
the emotion goes, if you're not angry over this thing that keeps happening, what do? You're not angry. Well, do so you can do something different.
mhm.
So the energy work has just been so beautiful in really changing the emotions and letting them go so people can have clarity and then do something different with it.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. It's wonderful. So I know they always say that doctors are the worst patients.
Hmm.
And sometimes I think therapists are the worst clients. So, because we know,
We know. There we go.
we
Yes.
know.
Hmm.
Um, so tell me about a time in your life when you were going through overwhelming stress and how did you handle it?
So, I'm going to go back to working when I was working at the military and learning the techniques because at that same time, my husband was overseas and I had my daughter. So I was stressed out at work, trying to figure stuff out, drive an hour back to pick her up from daycare on time in the height of traffic every
Mhm,
day, right?
mhm,
Um, Take her to dance, do all these other things, run the household. I was stressed.
mhm.
Okay. So stressed at one point when she had her dance recital, I thought it was the following Friday. So we missed it.
Oh,
So as a mom, I was so upset at myself, so hurt that how could I miss my daughter's recital? She was
yeah.
comforting me like, that's okay, I didn't need to dance. I'm like, wait. You're 6. You ain't supposed to be comforting me about forgetting your dance schedule, right? But talk about stress. As I learned the techniques, I also experienced the technique. So I was on the receiving end because I have always said I'm not going to ask somebody to do something that I am not willing to do. And I know that it's going to be effective, how you're going to feel doing it, how it may work, so I can do that. So I was also on the receiving end of doing some healing and tapping and seeing where what it was about.
Mhm.
And I almost can't describe how it changed me,
Yeah.
right? I had a friend once say to me, one time, she said, Lori, you came up and you like hugged me. And I was looking at her like, what the heck? She crazy? Like, of course I hug. Like, I like hugs. And she said, no, 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 you don't initiate hugs.
No.
And when she said that, I was kind of shocked, right? But it's like I stopped for a minute and was like, you're right. I hug, but I allow people to hug me. But that day I was like, giving away hugs. I could see how I was different, right? When I would go to groups, I would observe, I would talk to people. But I went into a conference and I was saying, hi, my name is Lori. What do you do? And then I
Mhm.
finally, after I sat down, I was like, oh, wait a minute. What happened? That's not me. I don't do that. I don't
Mhm.
initiate those things. I
Mhm.
was initiating, I was talking, I was meeting people. So it shifted stuff in me that I wasn't even trying to shift
Yeah.
and change, that opened up in me, and things that I felt I wanted to change because those thoughts were there and the feelings, those shifted too. So on
Mhm.
the other side of all of the techniques that I did, the different healings and the depth of the healing in me that happened at the same time as me being able to then help others. There was such a beautiful learning process in that, but also this thing I knew 100% that these techniques were going to make some changes if people stuck with it because I knew what it was doing in me and how it was changing everything in my life
Mhm. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the better.
Yes.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. So here we are. It's a stressful time. Thanksgiving is tomorrow.
Hmm.
Um, People have been talking to me about turkeys and, you got your turkey? Do you have this? I'm like, we're not doing that. We're doing something else. Um, and we have a whole month of holiday images, um, experiences, movies, cartoons. And then we have all of the things that are causing us to stress out, especially after the election, and people are just still tense about that and
Hmm.
trying to get through. Um, Financially, some people are struggling. The cost of living has gone up, um, and so uh, people are looking for ways to be grounded. So I'd
Yes.
like to ask you, what is a hack that you suggest to your clients or to others to manage, decrease, or just get rid of overwhelming stress, especially during the holidays?
So, the one thing that I love about tapping is that people do it for themselves, on themselves, for themselves, right? Some of the other techniques I do, I do, and they feel receive the benefits, right? Tapping is one that you can do anywhere. So, and you can look up 100 videos all over the place to do that. But it's such an easy thing about tapping on your eyebrow, the side of your eye, under your eye, your nose, your chin, and then your chest, and then here on this
Hmm,
palm of your hand.
okay.
You go into the bathroom, you can sit in the car, you can do it different places. And while you're tapping, it's just thinking about, again, if there's something that is upsetting your stomach, it can be why my stomach is upset and it's feeling nervous in there, or it's anxious, or I feel like I want to just, there's a tight knot in there. So while I just have a conversation with myself about what it is, if I'm
Mhm.
anxious or I don't want to go into this I need to go into this room with family or stuff, and I know I'm going to be overwhelmed, or somebody I don't want to see. I may go in and just do that about, oh, I'm going to see this person, and it usually makes me upset, and I don't want to be upset, but I don't know what else to do, and I'm trying not to. So you can just talk through what it is that you are feeling while you're tapping, and it can just kind of relax you enough to get through that piece.
Okay. Mhm.
Right? I've done it that when I'm with people, sometimes I just tap right here.
Okay.
Can't see it, it's below. I can tap and it starts to calm my nervous system.
Mhm.
So it's something that you can have your hands underneath the table, cross your leg and have it on the side and just be tapping while there's conversations going, and it just kind of continues to let stuff go and lower it. So I
Yeah.
love to just have people do that so that they feel like they have something to do,
Mhm.
that will really help the nervous system calm.
Okay. Wow. That's really good information, especially there it's something that you can do that nobody else knows about.
Nobody else knows. Yes.
Yeah, nobody else can see.
Yes.
I like to share breathing, you breathe different breathing techniques for
Mm-hmm.
people because I'm like, nobody knows you. Everybody has to breathe. Nobody knows that you're
Absolutely.
doing something specific.
Hmm.
So, Lori, you've been in business for yourself for a number of years as a therapist in private practice. What is your best advice to manage stress for other women who are also in business for themselves, especially during this time of year?
One of the biggest pieces when I went into business was I had a friend who showed me, kind of like guided me. She had been in
Mm,
private practice, helped me, answered questions for me. Then, as I was moving into coaching, I found groups. So I've always had a support system and not try to do things by myself and recreate things and figure it all out. People have always assisted me so I don't have to take all of this time and be stressed out in things that other people already know and are willing to share. So really, one thing is to find a good support system, even if it's one person that you feel like you can trust and matches what you're looking for,
mhm, mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been so helpful.
Yeah, that connection is very helpful, and it also is helpful so that you're to use your phrase, probably the energies match. You want
Yes,
to make sure that um, your energies match, that you are a good fit for each
absolutely.
other, and
Hmm.
that is very key. There are a number of groups out there, whether they are local, whether they're
Hmm.
on Facebook, but you want to make sure that you're it fits your needs,
There you go.
fits your personality, fits, all of those things so that you can get what you want and also so you can contribute.
There
That's
you go.
really good advice. Excellent advice. So, Lori, I wanted to, if it's okay with you, I pulled up your website.
Hmm.
So I want to get that on screen. Let's see if I'm going to find it. And here we are. This
Thank
is Lori's website, Heal with Lori. And I'm also before we end, I'm going to put um, the address in our on screen so everyone can see it. Um, Healing wounds, reclaiming joy, and living authentically. Lori, let me ask this as we kind of scroll through your site. How do people connect with you? If they're looking for someone such as yourself to work with, how would they connect with you?
So on the Heal with Lori site, there should be that you can email me, or you can just email me at hello@healwithlori.com.
Mhm,
And then I answer back the email and we can do a connect call and
mhm,
just talk about what your needs are and to see if it feels like we're a good match.
mhm. Mm-hmm.
So I do offer that on the website. So again, it is when you said connection is important in finding people that you match with. So I want
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that people feel like they match and we're a good match to go on this journey together.
Mm-hmm. And here it is.
It
Hello
is.
at healwithlaurie.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get to that from the contact page. Laurie also has a blog. So you can always, if you need information or you just want to learn more, you want to read about different things, um, you can always go to her website and check out her blog. She has some really, really interesting things, the importance of pausing and reflecting during healing. So, lots of good information that you'll find there. And let's see, should I go to your offers page?
My offer not. So it's my New Year's thing. I need to put my new offers on the page because I have just started. So that was, so yes, I do those things still. But I have added quantum healing and virtual. So it's a weekly group
Okay.
online in which, again, so the quantum healing is when I do an activation and healing at a deep level
Hmm.
um, around a certain topic. So if it's dealing with grief around the holidays, then for a week, every morning, I do an activation that is healing around that topic for the members of the group. And then they add up their own personal intention of what they would like to heal about that topic.
Hmm.
And then in the midweek, we do a Zoom meeting where we can ask questions and
Is that
we
spelled
can just
correctly?
talk.
I think I had an A. Let me fix that. Let me fix it. Okay. Let's see. Sorry about that, Lori. I didn't
That's
mean
okay.
to to there we go. I just had to fix it. Is that there we go.
Yes. Uh,
Spelling
so,
wasn't right. So I'm sorry, continue.
So every week there'll be a different topic. So through the holidays, it's kind of healing stresses during the holidays around grief or excess, so overeating, overspending, and really trying to let some of the emotions go around that to see how it feels differently. And the nice thing about the weekly group is you pick and choose what feels right for you. So if you
Mhm.
find one, you can attend. If you find another one, next week, that's fine. If it's in 3 months, it really is what is it that you need. And when the topic speaks to you, you, you can come and join and get some
Great.
really deep healing.
Wonderful. And they can find that information by contacting you or
Yeah, they can contact me definitely on Heal with Laurie, and then I will send them the link. I don't know, do you have the thing to put a link in there?
yeah,
Okay.
if you put it in the comments, do you have your comments there?
Let me
Let's see.
see.
Or
Comments, yes. Okay.
mm-hmm, drop it in there and then we can put it up.
It might not be. Let's see. Oh, look down there. It's not doing comments. Will you get the, let's see.
Okay. Do you see? Okay, look at do you have your private chat?
Yes.
Okay, put it in there and then I can plug it in. Let's see if that works.
It's not wanting to let me do that right now.
Okay. So this is what we'll do, Lori.
Uh-huh.
If you send it to me,
Got it.
I will make sure that it is on the posting when I post it to Facebook and Instagram,
Perfect.
and LinkedIn as well. So
Thank you.
I'll make sure that it's on there.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
And anyone who would like to try a week of quantum healing, if you mention that you came through Stress Talk, 50% off.
Whoa. Okay. I Might have to do
holiday
it
dressing.
myself.
Yeah, you should try one.
Oh, oh my goodness. I am so glad that you joined me today. You're just marvelous. I've always had high regards for you. Um, Lori and I moved to the state of Georgia about the same time. She moved a year or two before I did, but we worked together for several years in community mental health, um, and learned a lot in community mental health. And I'm very proud of Lori. I'm just very proud of what you've done. I remember when you started your private practice, and it has just grown and blossomed. And I'm trying to follow your path. I've jumped in the arena as well. So I'm sure we'll be doing some things together. At least we'll be talking a lot more as we continue our journeys. And for
Yes.
those of you who've joined us here on Stress Talk, thank you. I appreciate you. Um, just keep in mind, this is our Get Through the Holidays initiative. We've been talking with Laurie Teixeira, social worker, therapist, and energy practitioner about transforming your thinking to get through the holidays without losing it. Well, that's all for now. Thank you all. Take good care. I did this last time too. I forgot to unmute myself. But I hope you enjoyed this video, this recording with Laurie Teixeira, my colleague, my friend, who shared ways to transform your thinking to get through the holidays. Next week, I'll have another special guest as we go into the New Year week. So don't forget to join me. Please leave a comment or comments so that we can just chat about what you've heard, what you've learned. I hope this was helpful. And as always, take good care.